Welcome back. We're here to talk about Saturday's Premier League London derby between West Ham United and Chelsea. Pascal will start with the home side, up to fourth now after that win against Palace last time out.
Yeah, they've been really impressive, haven't they, this season? That's unbeaten in 6 Premier League games now. And the game against Palace, certainly both sides going into that game, they're sort of both famed for their away records. So you probably look at West Ham and say they might have started the game as favourites. And yeah, they were helped in the first half by that red card to Dwight Gale. But for the rest of the game, they were always pressing, but they didn't create all that many too many chances. And then the goal that in the end really sealed it for them was that 88th minute goal. Lanzini, he had probably been West Ham's best player in that game. Lanzini was in there in the box. This sort of deflection sort of cannoned off him and went in. So it was a bit fortunate. And then Payet obviously gets his goal. He's been involved in so many goals this season, goals and assists. Been such a key player. Great little finisher in the little fake and then dink over the keeper. And certainly those two goals. Payet's one was especially good, but I thought Jenkinson's to open the scoring was a fantastic goal as well. Moses, that inside ball, and Jenkinson one touch, then outside of the boot. Into the corner, really good finish from him. And so then the way they sort of they were just quite patient, weren't they? The Gale incident, he could have stayed on potentially, but they were quite patient for the rest of the game. I think they thought surely we'll get a goal sooner or later. It did come in the end, and a 3-1 win there, like I say, up to fourth there, looking really good at the moment. Moses, we talked about that pass that he made there. He can't play in this one, it's his parent club, but he's been a star player for them. Payet, Lanzini played well there. They've got so many players playing really well at the moment, and fourth place is a fantastic achievement after 9 games.
Yeah, and they've got players who are really capable of hurting any team in the league as well, aren't they? But the concern, it has been a fantastic season all told for them so far, but the concern will be their home form compared to the away form. We know they've been fantastic on the road so far. Those wins against Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City to kick off the season, no one saw that coming. They've got 13 of 15 possible points away from home, but at home only 4 of 9, which it's not a terrible record, but you'd expect them to perhaps do better. This one's a tough one, of course, against a team of Chelsea's quality, despite Chelsea's struggles, which we'll go on to talk about. But they want to improve that record, and if they can do that and keep up the away form, then they're going to push for European football for sure, because Bilic has got his team playing really good stuff. They've already got more away wins this season than the whole of last season, so if they can just replicate that, whether it's the style of play that they're playing away from home, they've got a bit less pressure on them, perhaps they've got a bit more space, then more chance to counter-attack, because the home team is dominating possession. Might be the case in this match. Chelsea might see more of the ball, so it might suit them, and they might be able to play it a bit more like an away game, so it could suit them in that sense. But they need to improve at home, because away from home there's no fault in them at the moment.
No, it certainly isn't. And the thing they've probably been best at this season is scoring goals. It's talked about the star players. I mentioned it earlier. Payet's playing well. Lanzini had a great game against Palace, and now got 20 goals in 9 games this season. Only Man City, who've got 24, have scored more than them, and City have scored 11 in their last 2. So, if City had scored 8 or 7 in their last 2, they'd be about level with West Ham now. So it's been a really impressive from West Ham. The amount of goals they're scoring all over the pitch as well. Sacco. Last season he had that scoring run, was it 7 or 8 games in a row he scored, but he hasn't scored all that many this season. It's been Payet, Lanzini, Moses chipped in with goals. They've got Carroll off the bench. Valencia's close to return soon. So they've got so many options up there, and you just feel that they even if 1 or 2 players have real off days, there's just players elsewhere who can score goals. Saw Jenkinson last week from right back. I think he scored in back-to-back games. He hadn't scored in his previous 64. I think it was something like that. So when you've got goals coming from defence, midfield, attack, they're just scoring from all over the park. And if they can just shore up a bit better defensively and just keep these goals flying, you could see them certainly sustaining this sort of top 6-7 sort of finish all season.
And with that goal scoring rate, they'll be pretty confident against the Chelsea side, who've had a leaky defence so far this season. Having said that, it is back-to-back clean sheets for them now. Can't help but think Ivanovic's absence has helped in that respect, because he's been so poor this season, but obviously he's out still injured. In midweek in the Champions League, they got a 0-0 draw against Dynamo Kiev. On paper, perhaps not the best result, but Mourinho went into that match thinking 4 points from that double header would do as well, and he's got that point away from home. You'd expect them to beat Dynamo Kiev at Stamford Bridge in the return leg, and it was certainly a better draw for them than it was Kiev, because Kiev have got Porto away from home, they've got Chelsea away from home still to come. Can't really see them getting anything out of those 2 games. So Chelsea, they're third in the group at the moment, still should be able to get through. The game itself, they should have won though. I think it was 2 points dropped, a real missed chance, because Hazard hit the post, Willian hit the bar with another fantastic free kick. He's in such good form from dead ball situations at the moment. They didn't really have the killer instinct in the final third. They had a number of good positions, overlaps that they could have used better, which they didn't do. They never really looked like conceding. It would have been very harsh on them had they lost the game. They'd be a bit content with the draw, but they should have won the match, and you can't help but feel that last season they would have gone on to win that match. Maybe a classic Mourinho 2-0 win, one of those, but they couldn't get that. Still looking positive in the Champions League, but again, it's another You'd probably say it was one of their best performances of the season so far, but the result wasn't what Mourinho would have ideally wanted.
No, it wouldn't have been. That's something they did get at the weekend against Aston Villa in the Premier League. They probably weren't as good as they were midweek against Villa. The 2 goals they scored, one was from an awful defensive mistake by Guzan, cleared it out, Lescott then miscontrols it. They nip in and then Costa sticks it away. He needed that goal, you felt, and then he played a big part in the second one. It was his attempted, sort of centre that Hutton deflected up and over Guzan into the net. So that was quite lucky. And certainly Villa at home, Villa who, after that defeat, they've now lost 5 in a row. It's a team that Chelsea should convincingly be beating at home, and it wasn't all that convincing, to be honest. They never really looked in trouble that much, but it's a sort of game where the position Chelsea are in at the moment, they're 12th now. We know they've had a bad start to the season. It's a sort of game where if they really wanted to kick-start the season, they want to be putting 4 past a team like Villa. They couldn't really do that. Like I said, up to 12th, and you look at all the other teams that they'll be chasing this season. City, Arsenal, United, all big winners last weekend, so didn't gain any ground on them. They're 10 behind City, 8 behind Arsenal, United in second and third. So it was a good win for them, especially after that defeat to Southampton before the international break, but still certainly long old way to go before they catch those guys at the top. And still at the moment, the way the table's looking, it's going to be a really amazing job if they can retain the title from where they are.
And what's your score prediction for this weekend?
I think certainly West Ham will go into the match full of confidence. They've definitely got a chance in this one, but yeah, that home form, maybe the fact that Chelsea will have more of the ball might help their counter-attacking style, but I'm just going to pick Chelsea to edge this one 2-1.
Yeah, it's a very tough one to call, isn't it? Chelsea, you never know what to expect from them. If they perform like they did against Kiev and are a bit more clinical, they probably should win this one. West Ham's home form, as we mentioned, is not convincing, but I can't really separate the two sides. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, I think. So we've got one draw and a narrow Chelsea victory. Thanks for joining us.